Hello, everybody, and welcome to our college football radio show here on Herb FM Radio. It's 8 o'clock, and we have Robert Kessling, the voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, with us. And Tennessee's rolling into Atlanta this weekend to take on a former conference member in Georgia Tech, but that was back in '63. But they're going to be playing Georgia Tech at the brand new stadium. So, Bob, thanks for joining us this evening. So, just talk about that game coming up with you guys traveling to a brand new stadium there in downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a big stage for Tennessee. Atlanta is a very important recruiting area for Tennessee. In fact, there are 14 players on the Tennessee roster from the Atlanta area, so getting down there, getting exposure. Of course, it's the only college game Monday night at that time slot, so it's a big exposure for Tennessee, not only in the southeast and in Atlanta, but around the country. So it's a big opportunity for Tennessee.
Well, Butch Jones coming in this year. Last year this is his fifth year at Tennessee after coming from Cincinnati, back-to-back 9 wins. And why is it everybody giving him a lot of trouble saying he's on the hot seat this year?
Well, that's one of those things. You look at coaches around the country and you try and you get a handful of them and stick them on there. Nobody in the Tennessee camp thinks that he's on the hot seat. Now, do they need to win more games? Sure. Do they need to? Last year, the end of the year was a disappointment. There's no question about that. They had beaten Georgia and Florida 2 games that the Tennessee fans had been waiting for Tennessee to win. Both of those games, they broke a long losing streak to Florida. So now you're in the driver's seat, getting ready to go to Atlanta and play for the SEC championship, and then you get upset by South Carolina, which hurt, and then the one that really stung was the loss to Vanderbilt. And so instead of going to maybe even the Sugar Bowl, now Tennessee's in a lesser bowl, and even though you win 9 games, you win 3 straight bowl games. I think the Tennessee fans and everybody else around the country thinks this program needs to take that next step to start playing for championships. And Coach Jones knows that. I think everybody in the program knows that. So that's why this game Monday night is really important to get this season off to a good start.
Yeah, I was looking at the game notes today. This is the 25th time that Tennessee's been playing on a Monday night, on Labor Day Monday night, and they're 12-11 and 1 tie. So I guess they love to be playing on Labor Day.
Yeah, well, Tennessee's had a couple of games in the past several years. Like last year, Tennessee, if you remember, opened in the Battle of Bristol at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and that made a big splash nationally. So they've done a pretty good job of getting some marquee opening games and some other big games. Tennessee has always traditionally played one of those big games every year. Remember a couple of years ago, Tennessee played Oklahoma and home and away series, so that was big. They played UCLA and Southern Cal and Penn State down through the year, so they always look for a marquee match every single year, non-conference game, and this is a pretty good one. And as you mentioned, Tennessee and Georgia Tech, they do have a long history together. It goes back to Bobby Dodd was a great player at Tennessee back in the late 1920s. And then, of course, went down to Georgia Tech and was their legendary coach. So they've got that tie. And another interesting story about Tennessee and Georgia Tech, when Georgia Tech left the SEC after the '63 season, they still stayed on the Tennessee schedule for a couple of years. And so in '64 and '65, Georgia Tech and South Carolina were on the schedule. The Georgia Tech game didn't count as a conference game, of course, but South Carolina at that time was an independent. So they counted the South Carolina game as an SEC game, even though Carolina wasn't in the conference.
Wow.
So it's been kind of an unusual history between these two. They were in the Southern Conference together, also charter members of the Southern Conference in 1921, but they never played each other. And then they both left in 1933 to join the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And even after they joined the SEC, they didn't play each other in the conference until 1946. So it's been kind of a weird series, but they played each other a lot down through the years. This will be the 44th meeting.
Well, Tennessee is no stranger to the Kickoff Classic. They were there against NC State in 2012. So do you remember that game?
Yeah, I sure do. That was a good win and a good way to get the season started. And so it's, Tennessee usually has played well in these big matchups. They played well last year against Virginia Tech in that opening game battle at Bristol, and This is a Tennessee team, I think, this year that they're still smarting a little bit from the end of last year, and the veteran players on this team remember that, and they want to try to erase some of those bad thoughts of last year and get this season off to a good start. It's a team that's been building under Butch Jones. They have slowly but surely stocked the roster with depth, and that's the key in the SEC. When you lose players, you need to be able to replace them with quality folks. And when Butch Jones arrived at Tennessee, he only had 4 offensive linemen. That was it.
Wow.
And so now they've got to 10 or 11 that they think they can play. They've got 8 or 9 defensive linemen. They think they're good quality players. And that's what makes Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson and all these championship teams so good, is when they lose a key player, they've got somebody else. They don't have much of a drop-off when they bring the next guy in. That's Butch Jones's goal when he took over at Tennessee, to make sure the recruiting was good and made sure that you got good quality players. And if you look back at his track record since he's been the head coach at Tennessee, they've had outstanding recruiting years, and now they hope this year it starts to pay off.
Well, talk about Georgia Tech. They run the option. Paul Johnson loves to run that option, and I think they're the only school, except for I think Georgia Southern does the option, but the option's a little different at Georgia Southern. Just talk about what does Tennessee have to do to stop that option?
Well, you got to tackle the fullback, or what they call the B-back, the guy that's right behind the quarterback, and that's usually their best runner, and it starts right there. And Paul Johnson said it's not an option, it's a read. And so the quarterback's reading, he's not optioning anybody. And so, it starts with that guy. If you can stop him, they love to go on 12, 13 play drives and eat up 8 minutes of the clock. So you've got to figure out a way to get off the field, and you do that by stopping that as they call it, the flex bone attack. Now, Georgia Tech, they lost their top 3 rushers from last year. They're not on the team, and they've got a new quarterback, and they've got some question marks on offense. And Paul Johnson has said, you just plug guys in this offense. The system doesn't change. You just plug new guys in. So he hopes to have some guys that can to run the option. But the one thing that they do is they control the ball, and they limit the amount of time that you have it. And so and they also have a knack. They were in the top 10 last year in the nation in the amount of big plays, plays over 50 yards. And they just come up with big plays. They kind of lull you to sleep a little bit with that. They're giving it to the fullback. They're giving it to the fullback, and suddenly they pop one down the field on you. Where you get, it's a patience game with them. If you get to the point where okay, I think I'm going to go make it. I'm going to go tackle the fullback right now. Then suddenly they're optioning right by you, and so you've got to play disciplined football, and that's what Tennessee's been working on for all summer, really, and in fall camp, is to don't get frustrated and die and make a big play. Just go do your job and tackle the guy that's coming at you. So, but it's easier said than done against Georgia Tech.
Well, talk about this kickoff classic. Chick-fil-A does a fantastic job beginning the year, having the best matchups between, the SEC, the ACC. I think they had a Pac-12 in there and a Big 12 one year. It's just a good thing for college football to have this marquee matchup just like the old days when they used to play those games up in the Meadowlands.
It's Tennessee played in those games too back up there. I think it's just a great way to start the season. I know that Tennessee likes to play in these type games, and they played an old pigskin kickoff back in Anaheim. I remember against Colorado way back when Bieniemy was playing for Colorado. So it's just a great way to showcase your program, and I think that these folks in Atlanta, they have done just a remarkable job with this game, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. Now suddenly here they've got Florida State and Alabama, then Tennessee and Georgia Tech, and then they get ready for the national championship game. So, and they got the College Football Hall of Fame right there next to the new stadium. So, they really put a heavy emphasis and a big investment into college football down in Atlanta, and it's really paying dividends for them.
Yeah, I heard they got rid of the Georgia Dome and making it into a parking lot. That's what I heard.
Yeah, they're going to. It's still standing. I remember going to the Georgia Dome SEC championship games and also some of these other games. And you used to think the Georgia Dome. In fact, the SEC basketball tournament was at the Georgia Dome many years, so we've been there a lot of times. And you just thought, gosh, what a massive structure. And then suddenly they put up this Mercedes-Benz Stadium next to it, and the Georgia Dome looks like a AAA ballpark compared to this place. I mean, this new stadium is just magnificent. So I haven't been in it, and I'm looking forward to going in it on Monday night. But all the reviews that we've gotten, it's a spectacular place. And they say that they've gone and they went to all these other new stadiums, like out in Phoenix, and the Jerry Jones Stadium down in Texas, and they looked at the best parts of all those stadiums and they rolled them into this one in Atlanta. So I'm really interested in to see what they've done and what it's like. I thought the Georgia Dome was fine, but they say this place is a lot better than the Georgia Dome, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Well, Bob, I appreciate you joining me this evening. Well, fortunately, we can't make a trip down there to Atlanta because we have some situations back up here at home. But we'll be watching that game on here in the studio here and watching it, and hopefully you guys have a good game. And we hope to talk to you down the road soon, later in the year, and see how Tennessee's doing.
That'd be great. Anytime. Thanks for calling.
No problem. That's Robert Kessling, the voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, and we'll be right back here on Herb FM Sports Radio. Hey, Coach Mac, how you doing?
Doing great, man. What's going on with you?
Oh, nothing. I went to the Delaware game last night. That was a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, they did Delaware State. What was the final of that one?
22-3, but Delaware should have scored more than 22 points. They missed like 2 field goals early in the first quarter. Yeah, they're up 5-0 at the end after the first half, the first quarter. So. Yeah.
How was the crowd?
Oh, not bad. It was a good crowd for a Thursday night on a when everybody's going back to school soon. Not bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what do we got?
All right, we're going to do a tape interview about your last night, your big win over Maine. And then we're going to air that tonight. We're going to do a show from 8 to 9:30, so I'm going to put that on there. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate that.
No problem. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right, here was Coach Mack, the head coach of the New Hampshire Wildcats, and last night they pulled off a very good big win for the first game of the year, 24-23 over the arch rival Maine. So, Coach Mack, thanks for joining us. Talk about that win last night. What did you like about that win, and is there a lot more improvement?
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, I like the way we played. We played, very hard. Kids put a great effort in the game for Maine. It's our arch rival. It's CAA opener, CAA first game, all those things. But I really like the energy and the effort from our team, and I like the energy and effort that responded from the Maine team. It was huge. We made some plays early in the game. I thought we did a great job driving the ball. Got ahead of them 17-10. They came back. We went up 24-17, and then they scored in this extra point. And came down to the kicking game a little bit. We blocked a field goal. They missed a field goal. We made all our kicks. So it was a pretty good effort by the team. We got a lot of things that improve our tackling. We did not tackle well last night. And we're going to do a better job of ball security. But for a home opener against an arch rival, getting the win by one, pretty good way to start the season, to be honest with you.
That's true. Well, I was looking at the stats for Maine. They rushed the ball pretty good last night against you. Is that something you guys have to work on this week?
Yeah, the one thing we did that we haven't done in a while here, we did tackle well. And we missed the contact. I think we missed 17 tackles last night. After watching the tape, it wasn't a fact that we just didn't wrap up. We didn't have great eyes on the ball, cutbacks and things like that. This week we're really strong emphasis on tackling in practice.
That's good. Well, let's talk about you guys. Talk about your quarterback, Knight. Looked like he was pretty good last night.
Yeah, Trevor did a nice job under duress at times too. He ran the ball very effectively, running the quarterback run plays that we had in for him. He threw 2 touchdown passes, and one was a fade in the corner to a redshirt freshman, Nick Gordon, and he hit Rory an 11-yard scoring strike. He commanded the team pretty well, but his feet and his running ability kept us alive on a lot of the drives. One of the things we're going to have to do for us to be successful, we got on offensive line.
Yeah. And also talk about your defense. They did a fantastic job getting 2 interceptions off of that quarterback.
Yeah, we did right at the end of the game. We did a nice job getting 2 picks. Ricky Ellison had one of them, and Quillen Dean had the other. Ricky's pick was huge. We've been getting beat on some deep outs. He wasn't doing a great job dropping. We made an adjustment in coverage. He went back and made a leaping interception. It was a terrific play. And then Quillen Dean sealed the win with a 4th down interception, on a skinny seam post, and did a great job grabbing the coverage, making a grab. Good for us, bad for them.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys have to work on? Basically, it seems like you don't play till next Saturday. So basically, you almost have another week off.
Well, we got Saturday off tomorrow. We got to come back Sunday. Get ready for a really good Georgia Southern team that is, changed offense, back to the option offense, Chris. Mm-hmm. So they're playing Auburn this weekend, and we've got to watch that game closely to see what they're doing new on the offensive side of the ball. And then we got to get ready to do a great job of being disciplined, stopping the option, making sure we can tackle well ahead of that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Georgia Southern used to have Paul Johnson as their coach. Now he's at Georgia Tech, so I guess he can still use the same option.
No, it's a little bit different option. It's a shotgun split back option, but it's got a lot of the philosophy that Georgia Tech has.
Yes. Well, I hope thank you for joining me tonight. I know you're a busy man after a game on Thursday. What do you do after a game? What do we do at the
game? Last night we watched the film a little bit. Got this morning, watched a little bit more. Practice with the team this afternoon from 3 to 6, and then gave the weekend off. And now I'm out on the patio with my family, having a couple burgers, and relaxing a little bit, watching the Richmond Houston game.
That's great. Well, I'll let you go because I know you want to spend some time with your family. I do appreciate you taking some time.
All right, Chris. I really appreciate you calling me, man.
No
you
problem.
Do a great job. Appreciate the coverage. All right, guy?
All right, man. Have a great Labor Day, and tell him I said hi.
I'll talk to you.
All right. See you. Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Football Tonight here on Herb FM, and we have Jim Fleming, the head coach of the Rhode Island Rams. Last night traveled to Central Michigan and played a very good first game of the year, but came up short, 30-27 in triple overtime. So, Coach Fleming, thank you for joining us on a Friday night. Just talk about your team. You guys were down 13-0 at the half. What did you say to your squad at halftime?
Half that were unnecessary, a couple big plays that we then followed up, with turnovers and were unable to get points on the board, but it was certainly a manageable score at halftime. We talked about, obviously, adjustments we needed to make to help our schemes, both offensively, defensively, and special teams, but really wasn't a whole bunch to adjust. We just needed to play a little bit better in the second half and capitalize on field positions. I think Harold Cooper rolled out of there with a 60-yard return or something like that on kickoff return, and we were unable to get points off of that. And, bottom line is that we were a little bit inconsistent in the first half, but we got better defensively as we went through the game, and it really held us in it. And then offensively, we were able to find some cracks that, got us into the game. And we really achieved a goal that we were really hunting, was the opportunity to win the fourth quarter. And we were able to win the fourth quarter, but unfortunately got us into overtime, and we were unable to finish it off.
Yeah. Talk about the going in the fourth quarter. You guys scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. To force overtime. What changed in the fourth quarter?
Well, we had a couple. I thought our offensive coaches and play call, Will Fleming ended up, really getting into a groove and kind of beat on them a little bit. And so we were, changing things up personnel wise and hitting some really good chunk yardage plays. We were able to get a couple of huge plays, on the second half that really got us back into it. So, it was a combination of both really good playing and I think the setup, by the offensive coaches was outstanding. And we were able to play defense enough to do significant numbers of bringing outs to kind of get the ball back. And,
Mm-hmm.
we just managed well, got it back into the game. Had to try to go win in overtime. Obviously, fell short right at the end of that third one.
Yeah, talk about your quarterback Tyler Harris, 248 yards passing last night. So, talk about his development in that game.
Well, it was his first time starting a football game since he was in high school. He was a very highly recruited kid out of high school. Ended up at UCF, and they changed the offense on him. It really wasn't fitting their scheme, so he came with us. Been with us, really since July 31st. So it's really been a short month of preparation where he had to compete and win the starting job. I thought he came in and had a couple of unfortunate things happen to him. With some missed assignments on the perimeter that turned into interceptions, but then there were three probably poor decisions that he made, forced the ball downfield that he probably shouldn't have thrown out or taken a sack, one of the three.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of gamesmanship and leadership, I felt he was a very cool customer, operated our offense well for the most part. If we can eliminate the turnover bug, which seemed to plague us, would put us in a much better position to win a game of that caliber on the road. You really can't turn it over 6 times and expect to win.
Right.
We did everything we could do to overcome that.
Exactly.
The 6 turnovers, that really score for those turnovers. So it was great credit to the defense there.
Well, you guys basically play next week, so you almost have almost like a week off, pretty much, almost. So, what's the schedule like for you guys for next week to get better?
Well, we got back in this morning, 6 a.m. That's when kind of finally later head up the hill this morning. And so we came in this afternoon, did a medical check-in, and had a quick team meeting just to touch base with the guys. And so we'll get back tomorrow with the lift and train a little bit, maybe go out and throw the ball around just a little bit. And then we'll pick up on Sunday a practice that resembles an early week Tuesday, and we'll practice Sunday, Monday, and then all the way through the rest of the week. Big week for us because school starts, and that becomes another facet that all of a sudden you're juggling not just the football only world now into the school and all those kinds of things. So
Yeah.
big week for us and a big opponent versus Stony Brook. So we're really excited to have a couple of days to get our rest back after a triple overtime. Our defensive guys played 109 snaps, and they're going to need a little bit to get ready for the next week.
Yeah, basically, what do you have to work on next week? Because I know the passing and rushing, you gave up 246 yards rushing, also passing 253 against Central Michigan, and that's a Division 1 school. But that is that something you have to work on?
If you start looking at it, we were 4.9 per carry, per play. Our goal is to go 4.5 per play. That would put us, in the tops of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Very respectable in the country. Now, when you're sitting there talking about total yardage, it becomes a factor of how much they're getting and how many opportunities they have. Obviously had, like I said, we defended, I believe, 107 snaps last night. So the total numbers don't bother us. I think there were some explosion plays we'd like to have back that got us, particularly the big one that gave them a go-ahead touchdown late in the game. I think we were up to 19-7 or something crazy like that. But we were able to overcome and chop wood and get out of drives when we needed to. So total yardage don't bother us. The points is the big deal. And we did extremely well, in terms of the regulation and
Mm-hmm.
third down conversions and all the other important factors we look at defensively. felt that it's really hard to criticize the defense after a really stellar performance like I thought they had last night.
Yeah. Well, Coach Fleming, I appreciate you joining us Friday night. I know you like to relax after a tough loss, but I know you got to get back to business. But thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. And I hope to talk to you shortly, like next week or so.
All right, buddy. Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. That's Coach Jim Fleming, the head coach of the Rhode Island Rams. We'll be right back with more here on Herb FM Sports Radio. All right, folks, welcome back here on College Football Tonight here on Herb FM Sports Radio, here on Speaker.com. If you are listening to us wherever you are, if you're listening to us in Rhode Island or in the CA area, like in Richmond, Virginia, or down there in Harrisonburg, Virginia, or if you're listening to us in Charlotte, North Carolina, thanks for joining us tonight here on Herb FM Sports Radio. We'll be doing this every Thursday night, starting at 8 o'clock tonight, just a special show tonight because of the game we did last night between Delaware and Delaware State. Delaware won by a score of 22-3 over their arch rivals from Dover, Delaware, the Delaware State Hornets. Let's give you some scores around the country right now, and some CAA scores. We'll get that shortly. We'll pull this up here. So hopefully you folks are enjoying yourselves on this first Friday of the Labor Day weekend. We'll give you the schedule here coming up at 8:45. Ken Segura, who writes for the Atlanta Constitution paper down there in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, will join us at 8:45. At 9 o'clock, Tim Newton, the voice of the Purdue Boilermakers, the football team, will be taking on Louisville on tomorrow in Indianapolis. He'll join us at 9 o'clock tonight. And then around 9:15, Dave Sherman, with the voice of the Blue Devils, the new voice of the Duke Blue Devils, taking over for Bob Harris, who retired this past spring from the voice of the Duke Blue Devils football program. And then around 9:15 or so, that's 9:15 with Dave Sherman. And then we'll check in with Ewan McCreef down there in Charlotte, my partner in crime. We'll get him at the end for a little see what he's going to look for this weekend in these big games around the country. And then we have Tim Lindenfeld, who writes for who covers the Florida State Seminoles on Seminoles.com. Will join us at 9:30 for 2-3 minutes to talk about that big game in Atlanta tomorrow between the Noles and the Crimson Tide. Let's give you the scores up here coming up. I'm trying to get you all the scores in the college football right now. Let's go to pulling up the hold on, folks. We're pulling this up here. All right, with 8:57 left in the second quarter, Sam Houston State up on Richmond 14-6. Last night finals, Toledo beating Elon by a score of 47-13. We just talked to Coach Jim Fleming that Rhode Island lost to Central Michigan by a score of 30-27 in triple overtime. And you heard before Jim, we talked to Coach Sean McDonald of the New Hampshire Wildcats. They won a 1-point winner over Maine, and we will be playing real quick. We'll be playing our we're going to play the post-game interviews last night from that Delaware football game between Delaware and Delaware State right now here on Herb FM Sports Radio.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, we got Coach Rocco. We'll be bringing in Deontay Cherry, Cam Kitchen, Joe Walker momentarily. Coach, if you just want to start off with a general comment, and then we'll open up to questions.
All right, thank you very much. Certainly recognized tonight, the significance of team here at Delaware. I recognize the significance of the production of, the game and all the involvement from so many people. And I just want everyone to know how much I appreciate their support with that. We had a great crowd, good energy, really enjoyed the band, and was very comfortable out there in the stadium tonight. Really tried hard to be poised throughout the course of the evening. I never really felt stressed or pressured. I never really felt being in jeopardy of coming out here with a win tonight. So I think that calmness allowed our football team to maybe respond there in the second half and finish with some confidence. We certainly didn't play as well as I thought we would play, nor did we play as well as I expected us to play. So that's something that we're going to have to really address and look at the film and make some corrections moving forward. But I told the team after the game that we did the things we had to do to win the football game, and we finished in a way that allowed us to be, the better football team out there tonight. I think statistically we may have outgained them by 200 yards, plus or minus. So we did some good things, but just way too inconsistent. I think holistically, you got to say your defense had a good night out there tonight, holding the points down like we did. I never really felt they'd have a chance of scoring many points tonight. So I felt like our defense did kind of hold up their end of the bargain. And then the 2 second half takeaways, I think, were probably the two most critical plays in the game. It really took away any and all of the hope that they would have had to actually win the football game. Then it gave us just enough momentum to go down there and finish a drive and extend the lead. So all in all, very happy to get the win. I've been doing this a long time, and winning college football games is a tough thing to do. We've got to get better. No one knows that more than me, and we'll come in here tomorrow and we'll start working on getting better. At this time, I'll take any questions here from the media.
Coach, is maybe the biggest disappointment is not getting a couple touchdowns out of those drives?
Yeah. And again, you guys all understand the fine line in this game, but if Cherry catches the first post, I mean, it's just a different game. I mean, I don't know why it's like that, but it's true. It's just a different game, because he squirts through and he scores a touchdown and the bench erupts and the whole bit. And momentum just, flies and goes on our side. Now, he came back and responded. I'm not working that angle here at all. He certainly had a very good game. It was just the timing of everything. Joe threw the ball well early. He did not throw the ball well late. So, why? I don't know. But we'll study the film and we'll make some sense out of that. I was pleased that we got 4 runners carrying the ball tonight. I think that, let's just, the biggest difference this year and last year in this game was a running back last year that just went crazy out there for Delaware. When he got loose, he scored a touchdown, and that's it. And he had a crazy game, and he had unbelievable stats, and he scored a bunch of points. When we weren't able to generate that kind of quick strike offense that we're going to have to do here as we get deeper into the season. So we got a lot of work out in front of us, but I remain very optimistic.
Hey, Danny, talk about the place kicker. He missed 3 field goals. Is it just nerves tonight?
Well, I don't know if I can speak to that. I think one of the things that's probably a fair thing for me to say is I'm learning a lot about a lot of my guys, as we get into the season and start, moving into deeper and into conference play. I don't think he struck the ball very bad. I thought the one was good. I think they're all good, though, when my guys kick them. But It couldn't have been wide more than a foot or two. So he struck him pretty good. So we'll continue. We got two options there. One we recognize is more of a shorter option. One's more of a longer option, and we just played it by the book tonight in terms of just playing off the card, in terms of where the ball was and who we sent out there on the field. So we're obviously disappointed. We ran a fake punt against us. I mean, we did not perform real well in the kicking game. So disappointed in that. So I think that we had a lot of things not go our way in the first half and maybe even into the third quarter. And fortunately, our guys kept their poise and were able to kind of fight through it and then ultimately take control of the football game. So, thank you.
Tough to see Justin go down, Lawson.
Yeah, it was sad. I mean, it's always sad. I mean, it's the most disappointing thing really about the game. It's when these guys get hurt, and it's not good. I'm not a doctor, but he's got a problem with his leg, and it's not a knee. And usually when they put that air cast on, it's some kind of a fracture, And so I tried to be present there for as long as I could. But he's a great young man, and certainly we'll wish him the best, and we'll know more here later tonight or tomorrow.
Just joining us from left, Joe Walker, Cam Kitchen, and Deontay Cherry.
Coach, did you get a good look at the targeting call on Colby to see if that was a good call?
I haven't gotten a good look, but I felt that play would stand as it did, as I witnessed it from the sideline. So I'm not in a position right now to coach on it. I can't really comment on what or how he could have done differently because it happened so quickly. I didn't even know who it was, to be honest with you, but I did see that contact. I saw the flag, and I think I was pretty quick to say on the headset that we may lose him for the rest of the game.
Would he have to sit out the first half of the next
First
game?
half, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coach, what did you say to the team at halftime when it came?
Well, the irony was 10 days ago I ripped them at halftime in our little mock scrimmage. I ripped them up and down. And I told them that was unacceptable. But I didn't rip them tonight. I was very calm, very positive, very reassuring. But I mentioned to them 10 days ago when I did go there. And, I just think that we've got to learn from tonight. We've got to improve from this performance tonight. We got to remain committed to our goals, And I told them in the locker room, and we're coming to work tomorrow. We got class tomorrow. They'll be in school, but once school's over, we'll be in here tomorrow afternoon. We're going to come to work and close off this game, go out on the practice field tomorrow afternoon, make the corrections we need to make, and then start moving forward on to our next game.
Hey, Joe. In the first half, it had to be kind of frustrating for you guys because you were piling up the yardage and kind of putting yourselves in position to score, but just kind of not getting in the end zone. What was that like for you? What were you guys doing well? But what weren't you doing well enough?
It was just the mental part that we weren't getting down pat. We were moving the ball pretty good, just playing fast. But when it was time to settle down for the third and shorts or third and long, just key parts of the play, we just weren't connecting.
Hey, Deontay, after dropping that one, were you pretty determined after that to kind of make up for it every time the ball came your way?
Yeah, I definitely was. I just wasn't trying to get down on myself. You're going to make mistakes in the game. Just try to bounce back from that.
On that first touchdown, Deontay, I mean, Joe kind of rolled out of pressure. I mean, is that something that you practice now as to, when a broken play or something like, I don't know if it was a broken play or if that's what you were.
Yeah, we practice that. It's like we see him scrambling, so we just try to find him, so hopefully he can find us.
Well, I mean, you were kind of wide open back there waving to him, and then he didn't really see you, right, until there was a guy kind of almost on you. I mean, did the play end up kind of being a little bit harder than, it could have been?
Well, he was scrambling out, so I don't think he could see me
Yeah,
initially.
oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely harder. You know, we didn't plan it to be like that.
Were you confident you would have gotten it on the second one before the review?
What you said?
Were you confident that you could score the second one?
I knew I hit the bottom line. I didn't know if my foot stepped out before I jumped up.
Did it feel like as an offense, you guys maybe did a little better than you did on the scoreboard? I mean, you did, well, yardage-wise, but
Felt like we were executing things. Like Joe said though, when it came down to crunch time, the third downs, and just putting it in the end zone, we didn't do that very well.
Is that something that, Deontay, that you guys can kind of learn from and build off of, like Coach Rocco was saying, you know, kind of look at it and say, okay, you know we kind of got the right idea, let's just kind of learn some lessons from that?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna look at the film and see what was going wrong and see what we can do better as a team as a whole, at each position group too, and just fix them.
Right.
hey, Cam, on that safety, you know, as a defense, when you get them down there, backed up in their own end zone, I mean, are you looking for that kind of opportunity, you know?
In that situation, we're always looking for a play like that, but it all comes down to like technique, and it just happened to unravel like that.
Hey, Cam, were you guys thinking defensively, you know, not only on that play, but, you know, with some of the turnovers that you guys later had, that you know, you guys needed to, you know, to kind of make some plays to help kind of get the offense going when the offense was having trouble finding the end zone, and you guys trying to, you know, try even harder to get some plays to help them along?
We knew the offense would come around, but our main goal as a defense is to get takeaways, so nothing really changed from that.
And how big was that stop right before the half? I mean, they're on the 1 yard line, you know, it could be an 8-7 game if they scored.
I mean, it was a big stop. It definitely killed a lot of momentum, but yeah, it was just great stuff.
Coach, you won the turnover battle, you had good time of possession, you didn't have any procedure penalties, you know, all of those things are good things, and yet it just, you know, and a real nice balance between running and passing, but the points just weren't there. You know, what was lacking, do you think?
Well, you know, I did not think we executed as well as we can execute. And the one thing that I really talked about today and here before we took the field is I wanted to play fast and I wanted to play with tempo. And I did not feel like we were playing with tempo. I did not feel like we were playing fast. And I think that's when we'll be in rhythm, and that's when we'll have the best chance to finish these drives. They were solid on defense. They were unorthodox on defense. And what happened is with every snap, it took us a little longer to identify what they were in, what the front was, and who the mic was, and what defense they were in. They were very multiple in what they were doing. So that in and of itself slowed us down a little bit. And I think it played to their advantage tonight. I really wanted to have a little more tempo in the things that we were doing. So I think that was a real factor in our inability to kind of sustain and then finish drives. You know, we'd put some plays together, then we'd hit a little lull, slow down, and not be able to finish. So I think that's a real factor in why we didn't score more points.
Is that something, Coach, that's not unusual for an opener, and it's something that maybe sometimes takes a couple games?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think that, you know, the first time that we are out there with, you know, a new coordinator and a new system and a new language and communication, you know, those of you that recognize the complexity of the game recognize how complex these calls are. I mean, if you ever saw Joe's wristband, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's like Chinese, you know, it's just hard to, and there's a lot of words. Every word means something. And, you know, when these things, when it's not second nature to you and you're thinking about what these words mean and where you go and what your responsibility is, it slows you down a little bit. And that was probably the thing that disappointed me the most. I didn't feel like we had the kind of tempo that I expected us to have. Tempo and energy. I didn't see it the way I thought I would see it, you know, and that was a little bit disappointing.
One more. Hey, Joe, do you come away feeling a little better about the passing game as a whole? You know, you guys were more productive tonight than you had been a lot of times last year.
Yeah, we were. But at the same time, there's a lot of incompletions out there that we wish we could have back. You know, we get back to the film tomorrow, and then we're just going to coach it up and then just be sharp again during practice and make sure that we hit those things during Virginia Tech.
All right, guys, thank you very much.
All right, folks, welcome back here. We have my partner in crime, Ewan McCreef, with me on the phone here. He's down there in the other office in Charlotte, North Carolina. So Ewan, just talk about this week. College football finally kicked off last night with some big names, big games. I mean, like Ohio State and Indiana played each other, and Indiana was playing really well against Ohio State until Ohio State pulled away. So, what's your take on the first night of football?
Oh, well, that was clearly, it looked like early on, Herbie, that Ohio State was going to have to be on upset alert. But, like many teams do out the blocks, especially in neutral site or on the road, they get a feel for what they're trying to do, and then ultimately the better athletes, namely J.T. Barrett, plays better in the second half. So a little jittery in the beginning, but poise is something that you can only gain through experience, and the Buckeyes showed that last night. Now, moving forward, of course, the big game in the ACC, bragging rights, the pride of the SEC against the pride of the ACC. Well, probably this year, but excluding Clemson. It's really tomorrow night, Irby. I mean, everyone that I've talked about college football, that's the first thing out of their mouth is Bama against Florida State, and rightly so. It is going to be electric, to say the least.
Yeah, exactly. And you know me, everybody knows that Herb FM is the president of this company loves that team from Tallahassee. So since he's a little child, So I'm ready for getting that Warwick Dunn jersey I have put away for the summer. Just took it out this evening. So that's the my rituals I do at Friday nights before games to wear his uniform.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, I wrote a little piece on the game, a little preview, and it's just awesome to have. I mean, that is a college football game. Yeah. I mean, a college football playoff game. This matchup so early in the season, I mean, 1 against 3 is really unheard of. It's the first time in college football history since the polls began that you're going to have a matchup between 1 and a 3 or 1 and a 2. So it's the highest rated matchup in terms of the polls that we've had in college football. So it's going to be a real treat at the Chick-fil-A Bowl. And I got to tell you, I'm excited about it. And I really think that everyone talks about Lamar Jackson, but I think DeAndre Francois has a chance to be even better than Lamar Jackson, and he certainly has I think, in my estimation, Herb, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, a better defense behind him.
Yeah, well, the good defense that Florida State has. We talked to Javon James, I did at the ACC kickoff, and he seems like he was confident that he's coming back from that injury, and he's ready to go, and he's going to hopefully keep that line of great cornerbacks at Florida State with Deion Sanders and Buckley and all those people that used to play before him. So it's just a great, the defense is great. But one thing I think the problem is Florida State needs to work on is their offensive line, because last year Francois was running for his life.
Yeah, well, you know what? Alabama has been known. I mean, they're like NFL. Jimbo said that he's pleased with the development of both the offense and defensive line. But really, I think what it comes down to is pressure. And if the Noles can just run enough to take a little bit of pressure off DeAndre Francois, then I think they're going to win the ballgame.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a fact I found. I was reading the Florida State game notes. Jimbo Fisher is 9-1 against SEC opponents.
That's huge.
Yes, and he's 6-1 against Florida. The Gators. He owns the Gators, literally. But he's 1-0 against Ole Miss, Auburn, and South Carolina. But he hasn't faced Alabama before, because the last time Florida State and Alabama played each other, Bobby Bowden was the coach, and Nick Saban's first year in Tuscaloosa. So this is Jimbo's first time playing against his friend, who he lived 10 minutes down the road in West Virginia.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup on so many fronts. And then if we switch gears to Sunday night, you're going to be at FedEx Field, to watch the West Virginia
Virginia Tech game, and it's just a great way. I don't put a lot of stock into preseason polls. I think that they're more about hype than they are about real expectation. But this game, back-to-back games, really, especially the Seminoles and the Bama game, it's going to be tremendous. And quite frankly, Herbie, I know you may be a little biased, but I think the Seminoles are going to win that ball game. Interesting take. I saw in Las Vegas that the Alabama Crimson Tide are 8-point favorites, so just a little bit more than a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, let's not forget about Jalen Hurts. He played lights out the second half of the season, and he's a dual threat quarterback. And I think on the defensive side for the Seminoles, they have to find a way to contain him. He's got excellent pocket presence, and once he breaks the pocket, they have to keep him in the pocket. So, as Jimbo Fisher alluded to in his weekly conference call, is discipline in your rush lanes is going to be a huge factor in containing Jalen Hurts and thus pulling off the upset.
Oh, yeah. It would be a good way. And looking at Florida State's schedule coming up, they have Louisiana Monroe next Saturday, and then they have to stay home and they take on their rival Miami. So right away they got two back to a little cakewalk in the middle, but you got Bama and then you got Miami. So basically, Florida State has a tough first 3 games of the year, except for the first home game of the year against a Sun Belt Conference member.
Yeah. Well, the ACC, really, they have nothing to prove, but this is just such an intriguing matchup. And it is a lot of pride in the conference, too. And if you think that all the ACC coaches are not pulling for Jimbo Fisher to win this ballgame against Alabama, you're crazy. That's one thing that we've seen over the years covering the ACC is that they're a band of brothers. They all root for each other when they're not playing for each other. And, it helps across the board. It helps in recruiting. It helps the stronger your conference is, the higher your rankings are going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Nationally.
Exactly, and that's why. And Jimbo Fisher's not afraid of playing against tough opponents the first game of the year. Last year he played a really tough Ole Miss squad that they were down at halftime. People don't realize that they were down at halftime and looked like it was going to be a disaster. And then Francois became Jameis Winston pretty much. In the second half after Jameis Winston's talked to him at the halftime. So, Florida State's not afraid of playing hard opponents. Next year, they got Virginia Tech to open up the season at home for the first time in 12 years. Yeah, so.
It'll be interesting tomorrow to see, Clemson really not a big test in playing against Kent State, in Death Valley. But, Kelly Bryant, excuse me, a lot of questions behind center for the Clemson Tigers. You got North Carolina. They got Cal coming into Chapel Hill to face UNC. The Hurricanes, really a cupcake against Bethune-Cookman, the Wildcats. And then what I think, and a lot of people down here in Charlotte are talking about, Herb, is a 3 p.m. kickoff, NC State and South Carolina. NC State has only 2 teams in their division have returning quarterbacks, and NC State is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We interviewed Jalen Samuels, and he's just a mammoth of a guy and wants the ball in his hands, a clear difference maker. But let's see how they do against South Carolina. A lot of people are thinking South Carolina could turn some heads in the SEC this year.
Oh yeah, pretty much. And they have Muschamp, who came from Florida, who was with Auburn. So, he got that program hopefully turning in the right direction, because I think Steve Spurrier, when he was there the last year, he just gave up and just went to play golf, pretty much.
Well, what are your thoughts? What can we expect when Louisville plays at Purdue at 7:30 on Fox?
Well, I talked to Jeff Blum, who was the head coach of the Boilermakers, who used to be one of the quarterbacks for Louisville back in the old days. And he said he took his son or daughter to the spring game a couple years ago when he was down in Louisville. And he goes, I want to watch this kid, Lamar Jackson, and I want to see what kind of player he is. And he realized up close that this guy was very good. And he said, and I asked him this week, how are you going to contain him? Because a lot of people in the ACC had a hard time last year stopping him at the line of scrimmage, except for Houston, learned how to, they figured him out at the end of the year. But what are you going to do? And he goes, well, we're just going to jam the box and try to, hopefully we could get him to start passing the ball instead of using his legs. Yeah.
Well, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, pretty much.
Your poison and try to take something away. But, Lamar said that he's been working on his deep balls. He certainly has a lot of weapons. And we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting ball game, something on the road. And, and then also, too, to end up on Monday night, you have the Volunteers going into Georgia Tech to play the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
So, we got a lot of SEC, ACC games going on here. So a really big first week of college football.
Yeah, exactly. And next week we'll be live on Herb FM Thursday nights. Tonight's just a special one because we had a game we covered last night in Delaware, Delaware State and Delaware. But every Thursday night, folks, you can tune in here at 8 p.m. to 9:30, and we'll hopefully get some beat writers from the ACC and the CAA to join us. Plus, we'll have somebody who is playing the ACC squad to join us and talk about their squad against an ACC squad. So that's going to be fun. So.
Yeah, it sure is. So everyone enjoy week 1 of college football, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Ewan, thank you so much. And when we come back, folks, we'll get the guy speaking of Purdue, we got the Purdue's broadcaster coming on at 9 o'clock, Tim Newton, to talk to us about Purdue and how they're going to, what he thinks about Purdue and Louisville tomorrow. So thank you so much, buddy. And I will talk to you later.
Okay, sounds good, Herbie. Enjoy college football. Go Noles.
All right, man. We'll be right back here on Herb FM Sports Radio.